training every day, how am I able to be so consistent? There's a couple different things. Number one is do it every morning when you wake up. Every morning when I wake up, I try not to put anything in front of getting into my routine. Even for somebody like me, I've been training for over 25 years, and I've never taken more than the least amount I've ever trained is 2 times a week. And that's I'm falling off the wagon, oh my God, I'm getting out of shape, Besides that, I'll train anywhere from 5 days, 5 times a week to about 12 times, 15 times a week. I just throughout the day. It's a lifestyle now. First thing in the morning is so important because it doesn't allow our mind to talk us out of training. There's so many things that happen once we get the day going that we need to go ahead and get it done and get our day started off right. Another thing is making sure that someone is constantly doing a routine, doing exercises that they're familiar with. A lot of people think they need to do all these different exercises because new is better, but new is not better. And if we keep doing new exercises, then we're constantly keeping our body guessing and not becoming familiar with things. And if it's not familiar with things, then we have to think about it. Our body has to figure things out. We're not in the flow. We spend more time trying to figure things out than actually doing the things. And so I was one of the people that thought that was true also. I need to go and change it up. But now I do the same exercises every single day, the same routines, the same everything. And I don't have to think. It becomes so easy. And when it becomes easy and I don't have to think, now I'm able to be so consistent at it. And I'm more consistent now than I ever been. And I enjoy it more because I've spent many years working out, being consistent, but forcing myself to be consistent. And it wasn't really enjoyable, And it's all about, if we're going to do something every single day, you got to make sure you enjoy it. You got to make sure you have fun, you look forward to it. And that's another thing, which is not pushing yourself super, super hard. It goes against all traditional, conventional wisdom of exercising. Give it 110%. Don't leave anything on the table. No, man, if you do that, then you're constantly going to be suffering. You're constantly going to not be able to enjoy because you're pushing yourself so hard. You're so sore. You're so aching. And it's really hard to push yourself and give everything you got every single morning. You're bound to go ahead and fail. And when you do, what would happen if you can't give yourself push 100%? Now you're going to judge yourself, and now you're going to look at yourself like you're a failure, even though you showed up and you did a workout. You just didn't do the quote, the best you can. So I realized, well, how about instead just showing up and just doing the best you can, but don't even worry about 100%. Why don't you just worry about just doing it 70%? Why? Because if you did 70%, what would happen is our body will naturally adapt and become stronger. We don't have to push 100% for our bodies to become stronger. We can literally push 70% and our body will still become stronger. And we actually get more results because when we push 70%, we're more consistent. Because you push 100%, after a few days of pushing 100%, you can't push it anymore. You need rest. And when you push 100%, you're tinkering with injury. Because that's another thing. So many people talk about how they can't exercise or they can't do these moves because they're injured, because they're in pain and all this stuff. But if they don't push themselves all the way to the extreme every single time, then they are lowering their chances of injury. And so if they were to push 70%, they can just do it every single day. Their body will recover faster and they'll be able to build the habit of working out every single day, and their body will still progress because 70% is still 70%. It's not 0%. People, what they do is they'll go ahead and push 100%, 100%, 100%, and then they either go, man, I'm so tired, my body's aching, or I get injured, and then they go and do 0% because they will just miss out. They will just stop. And they'll come up with all these excuses why, and then those excuses run into longer and longer. Before I know it, they're not working out anymore. And this is why it's so common that people will start exercising and then they'll stop. It's always starting, stopping, starting. Why? Why don't they just start and they just continue it? So this idea of not pushing ourselves to the limit is so powerful, and it's so enjoyable when we can just go in and just know that the fact that we're doing something that we're so familiar with, just by doing it, we've already won. We've already did a great job. And then now we don't have to put any unnecessary judgment on ourselves or unnecessary pressure on our performance. And naturally, when our body gets stronger, which it does, because our body adapts to anything, naturally, suddenly we are progressing. Suddenly we are doing different exercises based on a progression of the foundation exercise that we're doing. Why? Because it's easy. When we go in and we start an exercise and we're doing exercise 1 and it's like from a level of like 1 to 10 in difficulty, let's say it's at a 7 and we're pushing it, it's a little tough, but we can get it done. But then we do that for a few weeks, and now that same exercise with the same amount of repetitions is now only at a 4. So then what do? We can either leave it at a 4, which means it's becoming even easier, and it's like a breeze, it's like just a brisk walk, or we can decide, you know what, I can push it back up to like a 7, so then we do a more progressive version, more advanced version of that same exercise, and now we're back at a 7 again. But we're not at a 10, we're not at 100%, we're at 7. Right, we're at 70%, so it's still enjoyable. So then now we keep doing that version of that exercise at a 7, and then over a few weeks to a month or 2, whatever it is, now that exercise is easier again. Now it's back at a 4. So now we can decide, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at a 4, just, because I don't really care about pushing myself more. Or if we want to progress, we do the same thing again. Now we do another progressive version, another advanced version of that same exercise, and now that exercise difficulty is back at a 7. So this cycle continuously repeats until before you know it, somebody that wasn't pushing themselves to 100% is doing advanced moves. They're super strong, they're super in shape, and they never had to constantly push to 100% just because they stayed consistent. Once I figured this out, I was like, holy crap, this is like goes against all conventional wisdom, but it makes perfect sense. And I started doing that. And that also makes consistency happen. Because now I look forward to it. I don't have to go ahead and prep my mind and get totally psyched out. So many people try to psych themselves out. I'm about to go work out. Get pumped. The fuck are you doing? Just relax. You don't need to get psyched out to go ahead and do something that's good for your body and mind. If you need to do that, something is wrong with what you're doing. That's like saying you're about to go see your boyfriend or girlfriend. Let me get into the mode. What do you mean? If you need to go ahead and change yourself to go and do something that you really enjoy, that you love, but you have to change yourself. You can't just be normal. Something is wrong with what it is that you're doing. You need to reassess that, And so, no judgment anybody. I was doing that for the longest time. But now that I realize that there's a better way to do it. There's a way that's more enjoyable and a way that's more effective. So now I share that with people. Hey, take it easy. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. 70%. Just do it every day. And if you miss out, hey, don't beat yourself up. It happens. Jump back on and just do it again. And then people start building the habit. And then they get more results than they ever have just because they're staying consistent.